Okay, before I answer that question, I
Okay.
need to go make sure I turn the stove off. Please
Oh,
excuse
that's really important.
me.
Let's take bets. Did she turn the stove off? I think
Yes,
yes. You did.
turn it off. I didn't want to ruin my dinner.
Should we get into it?
Let's get into it. Sorry.
Okay. So you want to know what I've been reading?
Yes, sis, what have you been reading?
Okay. I did this week dedicate most of my reading to reading the
Oh,
third
I
City book.
okay. How far into it are you?
I'm done. I finished it.
Oh, you're done. Oh my gosh, that is a big book,
It's big.
yo.
It's big.
That's
But
longer
I'm
than
done. And that's all I'm going to say about it because we don't do spoilers on this podcast.
do you like want to give like a stars? Like how do you
No,
feel? No, you
I'm
don't want
not
to do
giving,
anything?
I'm
Okay.
giving, I'm frozen. Am I frozen?
You're frozen, but I can hear you. Oh,
Okay.
now you're back. Okay.
That was like the universe being like, nothing, say nothing.
Nothing. You're not giving us anything?
No,
Whoa.
because I think that, I think especially with fantasy books, that's just like not fair.
Okay. So you think people are still reading it? Is
Oh yeah,
that what you
definitely.
mean? Okay. Okay.
I'm
I see.
I think people have finished and I think people are still reading it. And I just don't, this is a spoiler free
Okay.
space, but I
Okay,
am
great.
letting people know that I am done. And should anyone want to discuss it, my lines are open. Okay, but I am so excited about the book that I am currently reading. It is I'm not done with it, but so far it is the best book I have read this year.
Oh my gosh.
And
We've
I'm
been
like,
looking for that.
I was looking for it, and it is like tracking to be the
Okay.
the best book I've read so far this year.
Okay.
Um, I got it in my book of the month club box this month,
Oh,
my February box. It's Good Material by Dolly Alderton. I This was featured in our Newsday post, but I'm like loving it. So it's the story of a guy called Andy who has just been dumped by his girlfriend of like 3 or so years, Jen, who he is in love with, and he's like just kind of grappling with like this was the person I thought I was going to spend my the rest of my life with. And it kind of gives a sense that like we're probably not getting the whole story of the breakup because he has like it's being told like through his point of view. And there's a couple of parts in the book where like there's commentary from like his friends or like past relationships where they're like you tend to kind of like look at things through rose colored glasses and like maybe things weren't all as great as you thought they were. There's a couple of things that I'm just going to say about the book, 'cause I'm not done with it quite yet, but where it is tracking, it's just
mhm.
like it is excellent.
Oh,
So a lot of it is like, what is it like going through a breakup? Like, how does that feel? What are some of the things that you do? And it's just like so dead on. He talks about going back and revisiting text messages and just kind of the like masochism of being like, oh, let me look at like messages from the beginning of the relationship. But something that he does that is like so funny and so melodramatic is his girlfriend wore this one scent, like Armani,
mhm.
and it's a very common
Classic.
scent,
Classic scent.
classic scent. And he's in the grocery store. He's currently staying with his parents, and
Mhm.
he's like in the grocery store, like doing a shop. And he smells it and he's like, oh my God. Like, and he knows it's not his girlfriend,
Yeah.
Jen, but he's like, she is everywhere. She chose the most popular perfume in the world. So now I have to
Mhm.
smell her everywhere I go. And he's in a Boots, which is like a Dwayne Reed, but way better. And it's
Mhm.
in the UK. The book is set in the UK. And so he goes into the Boots and he buys all of the Armani 5 perfume that they have. And then he goes, his family lives in Birmingham. He takes the Armani perfume,
Funny.
he goes and dumps it into the canal. Like it's speaking to me so deeply. And I
Mm.
am like laughing out loud reading it. Like I was on the subway and I was laughing. Like which is
You can't do
embarrassing.
that in New York,
I
Joanie.
know, it's
Not on the
embarrassing.
way.
So it's just a very it's like a really I feel like adept like look at like what it's like to go through a breakup and like what it's like to be kind of in this space that you didn't think you were going to be in. And I cannot overstate like how funny this book is. Like I don't often laugh out loud reading books, and I don't often cry reading books. And so far, this book has made me laugh multiple times that I've like marked pages. So I don't want to forget about the funny things. And it is just like, I am loving it.
It's gonna make the top books of 2024, perhaps.
I mean, it's a contender. And I can usually tell, like, when I've read a book that I'm like, this rocks, this is so good, I can tell if it's going to be a top 10 contender. And like, I think it might be. Okay, so what are you reading? What have you been reading this week?
So I am reading a book that came highly recommended by both my sister Joanie, yourself, and our little sister Lizzie, who if she recommends a book, she literally every day will be like, have you read it yet? Have you read it yet? Have you read it yet? It happens like once a year, maybe. So I am currently reading Bright Young Woman by Jessica Knoll. And I am only this far in, so like barely 50 pages in. I started it this morning and immediately I was like, I'm hooked. This is going to be so interesting.
Yeah.
And the woman in it, I guess the protagonist is also a lawyer. I'm a lawyer almost. I think it's like loosely based off of Ted Bundy, right?
Yes, that's right.
So about like Ted Bundy and him murdering the sorority girls and then other people he murdered. And so it's based in the 70s, but the first book is the protagonist, like, I think like in present day, so like 45 years later.
Yeah.
And she like is looking back on like the events that happened. And I think what I was really interested in is she is essentially like retelling the story. So like I think the way it's written is really interesting, and like kind of the look back and being like, the only reason why I knew what she was wearing, or like who knew that when I said this one thing, it would be like blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
Which I find very intriguing.
Yeah.
I think it'll be maybe a little spooky, maybe not a book to read in the evening, even though I really want to read it in the night.
Yeah.
I did just start it today. I'm very excited about it.
It was one of my top books of 2023.
It was. So I can't talk too much about it because I'm not that far in, but so far I can like see a few things that are happening and like what the author has said that like I'm like, oh, this is going to be an issue later. Like I wonder what the issue is, or like they've done like there's one thing like because they live in a sorority house, it was like the grand chandelier light is supposed to like turn off automatically. And she says like the first thing she noticed was that like the light was on, and then she's like, the investigators tried for like weeks to figure out like the light situation. I was like, what is the light situation? Like, will we learn about that?
Yeah,
so
like
there's some kind of thing.
There's some
like
breadcrumbs that you can sense are being left behind for you.
And like because it's kind of like a looking back on it, the way, I don't know, like the way it's being told is like really cool and like really interesting, and I really like it.
We might have to like have a special chit chat about Bright Young Women, because
book club.
I've told so many people to read it and now I need everyone to talk about it.
Yes, we could have a book club about it. I'm down for that. Like this video if you
like and subscribe and send it to your friends.
Like and subscribe. Yeah, so that's what I'm reading.
And now we're at my least favorite part of the whole thing. I had a thought of how to end it.
And you didn't write it down?
No, I didn't. And I thought it and I was like, because it wasn't that good. Like it wasn't like, aha, here's how you end a podcast. It was just like, this could be an option. This could be a way to do it.
How you end a podcast for dummies.
That's what they need to do next.
That's what whoever is up there, here's a free idea for you.
Here, we'll have our books say bye to each other. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is definitely not it.